Hello, I'm here with a new video, and this time I want to talk a little bit about reflection about plastic, resin, and 3D print. And mainly, I will focus on the cost point of view and where I think the industry will evolve, or what can be the future of the industry. So, if we compare today, okay, uh, the main points, like when you look at the industry on between plastic, resin, metal, and 3D print, we can see that plastic is very demanding in terms of capital. But once you have invested capital, you will have a very fast production at quite low manufacturing cost. The capital is huge, it's much bigger, and it's in a different scale compared to resin and to the 3D print normally, because you need to buy an injection molding machine and you need to buy a mold. Okay, you can maybe only buy a mold and go to a third party to do the injection for you. This is another option, but at the end you have the mold is very much expensive. A mold is more expensive than the resin metal or any 3D printer we have today, right? Talking about these molds are on the hundreds of thousands of euros normally. Okay, so this means a huge investment, and we are not talking about the injection molding machine. Okay, this is just the mold that's made of one of the most expensive steels normally. And then we have the production speed. We are talking making miniatures in terms of seconds. Okay, so maybe a couple of sprues per minute, something like that. Typical. So I'm knowing more the bottle, the mass production industry. You can make cups in 10 seconds, right? So and you make a lot of cups in 10 seconds. So I guess here you have one sprue, one miniature, so you can make one sprue. I will say in the worst case, I think 30 seconds will be enough to inject one of these sprues. Of course, this makes that the manufacturing cost is quite low. You mainly have to pay for energy. The polystyrene is quite cheap. We're talking about grams, and you can automatize a lot of things, right? You can have a robot that takes the sprue out of the this is another investment, right? But you can have a systems to remove the sprue from the mold. It goes to a box, and this box goes to where it needs to be packed. So this is quite cheap. Resin is half craft, right? So the capital is quite low. The molds are not as expensive and they need in plastic. Then you need to change more often, but then the production speed and the manufacturing cost is much higher because yeah, both are linked, right? So the production speed and manufacturing cost is linked. So if you will need more time to make miniatures, of course you have less productivity, so the production is more expensive. And 3D print, even I am expecting lower capital investment these days, but the production speed is massively slow compared to injection molding. So while in injection molding we're talking about seconds, in 3D print we're talking about hours, right? So this means that of course, this means that the manufacturing cost of 3D print is very high, and this is the reason 3D print is existing for a lot of years, right? At least I know about 3D printing for about was industrial 3D print mainly used for prototyping, to making mock-ups, and but this was existing in the 90s already. So it's not something new. What is new is that the 3D print cost, the capital needed, is very low. Okay, we are in hundreds of difference between the investment needed for plastic versus 3D print. What this means? Means that you need different technology depending on your model. So if you are a big company, then you need to sell to a lot of customers and you need to do hundreds of thousands of miniatures. The best way to go is plastic injection. But if you don't have this big volume, okay, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, okay, to pay this back, you can imagine you have to pay an investment. You have to pay an investment of $100,000, okay. Of course, if you want to amortize $1 for miniature, you have to sell at least 100,000 of this miniature of this sprue, okay, to pay just to pay. You are not making benefit just to pay the mold, and then you have to add the electricity and everything. So you can imagine what is the number of miniatures we are talking about. While in resin, the cost is much lower. So this is why small companies, they were using resin and metal traditional, and this is why Games Workshop had a hybrid system in the past, because you cannot afford maybe for some miniatures to pay for resin. I guess today what they do is they had increased the cost of the individual miniatures. This is why I think why a hero is costing 25 euros, because you have to pay almost the same investment but a hero is used in not the same number of yeah, you don't need the same number of heroes in army, right? So especially miniatures like Nagash, that you only have one per army in one army, so you have to sell a lot of Nagash to pay back the mold. So this is the and the guys have more than one sprue. Remember that. I don't know if all the sprues are in one mold or is one mold per sprue. So this is a thing that I don't know. You can put indeed all the molds, all the sprues in one mold, but I don't know. Maybe they prefer to work with smaller machines, smaller molds that will have a less capital investment. Okay, and then the 3D print. Yeah, if you want to print one Nagash, of course, you don't need any almost any. You only need to make the capital investment of the 3D printer, but the time that you need to print this Nagash, it's going to be quite long. Okay, and on top, yeah, and here I'm talking just about productivity and throughput. Okay, so what makes sense? So this is why I say big companies will tend to go to injection molding. Medium-sized small companies will go to resin or metal. Uh, Meters that have low cells will go to resin. This is why again what was doing this hybrid model. Now they move everything to injection because of the problems they had with the fine cast. And 3D print, it's mainly for very small companies. Okay, today almost in particular, right? People that is individuals that are selling from the home in the second using eBay or something like that, right? Or internet, something like that. Um, but you cannot afford to pay for and normally you do it from your home or from your garage because you if you want to start adding cost like having a big space to do the 3D print, and the cost will start going high because you will need more people. You will almost need one person per printer, maybe not one person, but you will need more people clean up and so on. So it requires a lot of work today. So this is why I don't think the companies will be able to switch to 3D print this day. They will keep on the resin business. Okay. So what I think it's going to happen in the short medium future is companies will keep an eye on the 3D print and the cost and how the market is fluctuating. I understand that Games Workshop will try to avoid that people do like just a rip off of your miniatures. They will not be able to stop it. But what will happen is that this can have impact, influence at the end on the plastic and the resin models cost. Okay, and all will depend how these people doing 3D prints will sustain and keep the business as at low cost as they think they can keep it, and for how long. Because if you start expanding your business, you will realize that you will need more and more and more and more 3D printers to couple with all the demand. So what is not going to be feasible. So this is why I think now we see that the 3D print is growing a lot. I don't think it will be able to eat by far the plastic industry, even the rising at this moment. What I think once the 3D print are evolving and is becoming cheaper and faster, I would say faster is the main point. No, when they're becoming faster and faster, maybe they can start compete with the resin models, but I don't think they will ever reach the speed of the injection plastic. This also if I could, no, yeah, I think this is going. I just want to make a very fast comparison with the printing, paper printing. Okay, so in the paper printing industry, you can have uh, regular printing, so all traditional things like flexo or offset. Then you have the digital print, and then you have the printers, right? You have the big printers. You have companies that they can cop. They have a yes, I mean like a shop that they do printings for you, right? Imagine that you have a file, a PDF file, they can print this PDF file for you. So we know that these shops that they print, they are not compatible with the cost of a book normally. So you only use that when you cannot find the book anymore and you need this book urgently. But normally, this is why we are evolving to the digital world with the tablets and iPads, because it's the only way to become to have low prices, right? So this is why I mean all this process. This is a little bit the same, right? The printers have evolved a lot as well in the printing industry, in the normal printing industry, but they were not able to reach the price of a big press that we have in that is used for making books. So I think the industry, we are going to have the same. We are going to have we see an evolution of the 3D print, and they will not evolve because they are needed for miniatures. They will evolve because it's a very nice tool for overall mass market. And I think the mass market is the one that will make the 3D printers to evolve, to be able to make parts and to be able to substitute parts. But this is all. Okay, so let me know, what do you think? Let me know if my prediction is more or less the same as you. But I think I'm pretty sure, I think that the companies will keep making plastic and resin. I think they will keep an eye on the pricing. They will need to adjust if they see that the sales go down. They will need to make an eye. But I also think the 3D print will stay, but they will not able to substitute the industry. Maybe they will growth, but when they try to make, they will try to go very high on production, number productions. They will not be able to compete with the plastic or the resin. So that's all for now. So please let me know, what do you think? As usual, thanks a lot for watching. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.